Hey everyone, in this video I'll try to explain you how you can transfer the data from Snowflake to S3 with the help of AWS Glue. So I'll divide the video in four parts. The first part I'll brief about the Snowflake database, I mean how it exactly looks like and what are the components inside it and what all things we need to connect with AWS Glue. In the second part, we'll download the required connectors. Basically, we need two connectors. One is for connecting Spark with Snowflakes, and the other one is our basic JDBC driver for the Snowflake. The next step, I'll show you how you can configure the glue job, what version to choose, and how you can place your jar files in S3 bucket and place them in your glue job, how you can pass different parameters in glue in glue job details. So all I do in the new glue console, it will not be in the older one, it will be in the new glue console. And finally we'll write our basic script and we'll get it running, and we'll also store the data from Snowflake in S3. So let's get started. So this is how you see when you log in Snowflake. So here you see three databases. Snowflake and Snowflake sample data are previously created when you create your account in Snowflake. So here I have created one database known as MyDB, and it has two schema. One is information schema and one is public schema. So our data will be present inside the public schema. The information schema is contain some views, and that is by default created. We don't create it. So inside public schema, we get into the tables. So here I have a table called EMP data that I have created. So if I click on that, it shows me the table definition. It's a pretty simple table. I haven't used much on this. I simply created a couple of columns like ID, first name, last name, email, gender, and IP address. And I generated the data using datagenerator.com, and I specified these fields, and I got my data generated. If I show you my columns, and all these are in markers. If you want, you can keep them in int or big int, long, whatever you like. So if I click on data preview, these are my data that is present in Snowflake, which we're interested to transfer in S3. Now, if I this is one thing that we need: the schema, the database, the table name. These are three things that will be needed. The next thing that we need is the warehouse. So you can get into admin. If you click on the warehouse, you will see one warehouse here. So since I was not running it is in suspended state. I can click on resume to start my warehouse again. This is another thing that will be needed. Along with that, we'll be needing our Snowflake URL and Snowflake account name, user ID, and password. So I could see the URL in the classic console only. In the new console, I don't see the URL that we used to see. So if you click on the classic console, you will be redirected into a new tab. And if you log in there, you'll be seeing this URL. The top, this will be your Snowflake URL, and this will be your account name. So just remember, account name and username are two different things in Snowflake. Here Learn Cloud is the username, however MDB and 91825 is the account name. So this is the classic UI, I would say, or the old UI you can say. So yeah, that's pretty much we need from Snowflake. And the next part, we'll download the connectors, and I'll show you how we can download the connector and what all connectors that we need. So you need to get into this site. I'll put the link in the description for this. So we'll be needing the first one. This is the Snowflake JDBC. This is the JDBC driver. I'll quickly download the jar for this. Yeah. We also need the Snowflake Spark driver. So as we'll be using Spark version 2.4, we'll be downloading this particular file. Spark Snowflake 2.11, 2.9.3-2.4, Spark 2.4. So I'll also download this. So this is now the step 3. Uh, Here we'll configure the glue job. So here I'm in the AWS Glue console. So this is basically the new console that AWS has launched. You can still access the legacy pages down from here. And all these, if you see, it says database new, tables new, jobs new. All these are new consoles. These are some UI changes and some version upgrades that has happened under AWS. So yeah, so since we are interested in creating a new glue job for transferring the data from Snowflake to S3, I will click on jobs. Here we'll see multiple options. So first one is visual with source and target, where you can just drag drop things and create your glue job. Here it's a visual with blank canvas. These are basically same options. It's just that in the first one it will have the source and target inbuilt, and here you can just drag and drop them. But here we need the Spark script editor because we'll write the script to do it. We're not going in a drag drop approach because that is not the use case here. We also have the Python shell script editor, and also we got the Jupyter notebook. As we'll be using the Spark, so we'll go with the Spark script editor. We can also go with the Jupyter notebook as well if you want. It is the same way. It is just that we just need to write our code and execute each cell in Jupyter notebook. Here we'll run it as a whole job. Yeah, so I'll choose create a new script with a boilerplate code, and I'll hit create. So by default, it'll show us this way. These are some boilerplate code that they say. So forget about the script for time being, and we'll go to job details, and I will add couple of things. First, we'll add a name. Let's say Snowflake job. Description, I'll put transferring data from Snowflake to S3. I'll choose a IAM role that is having access. So I have this IAM role having access to all the S3 locations. So here I'll go with Glue version 2 because Glue version 2 had support for Spark 2.4, and we have downloaded the driver for that. Python version I'll keep it as default 3. So we don't need many workers, so I'll just go with 3 workers this time. And job bookmark, we don't need it. We can disable it. Number of retries, we'll set it as 0. Job timeout, we'll set it as 10 minutes. We'll keep everything as else as default, and yes, here we need to provide the jar's path. So in the previous step we downloaded the jar, but we haven't uploaded them yet to S3. So we'll first go ahead and create one bucket, and we'll upload them. So here I'll click on create bucket. I'll choose a bucket name as Snowflake driver 2022. Keep everything else as default, and I'll hit create. So we are in the bucket Snowflake driver 2022. Now I'll upload both the files that we have downloaded earlier. This may take some time depending upon your internet speed. Okay, so now you have both the files uploaded to the location. Now I'll click on the bucket link once again and I'll select one of the file and I'll copy the S3 URL. Then we'll go back to our glue job and I'll simply paste the S3 path. Similarly, for the second one, we'll place the S3 path. Now coming to the most important part, that is the job parameters that we need to specify. Here, like I mentioned in the step one, while showing the Snowflake database in the console, we need a couple of parameters from there. So first thing, we'll be needing the account. So for this, we'll specify it like this way, and we'll go to the classic Snowflake console. And from the address bar, I'll be copying the account name. The next parameter would be the URL. Similarly, from the classic console, you can copy the URL. It should be in the format account name dot your reason that snowflake computing.com. Paste that. Next thing, I'll be needing the warehouse. So let's check what's the warehouse is. It's my warehouse in this case. Similarly, the next part would be the database name. Here in this case, it is MyDB. The next parameter would be the schema, which is public in this case. The next two parameters would be username and password. So this will be the username in your Snowflake account, and similarly the password that you have mentioned while creating your Snowflake account or creating the user while creating the user. So after adding all these parameters, we will save the job once so that we'll not lost all these parameters and the jar paths that we have already mentioned in the top. So I'll hit and save.
Okay, so now the step 4, that is scripting and running. So now we have the boilerplate code. So I'll quickly paste the required codes for Snowflake. First we'll import the Java import from Py4j, and we'll specify the class that we need. So this is the class that we're gonna use. Now I will replace the system argument that we have passed. So these are the 7 arguments that we have specified in the job details: job name, URL, account, warehouse, DB, schema, username and password. Next we'll use the Java import and we'll specify the class name that we're going to use. I'll create some space. The next step will specify the connection string. Here we will specify the URL, account, username, password, database, schema and the warehouse. So now we will read the Snowflake data. We will create a data frame and we will store it in it. Now here we will specify the table name. So the table name in this case is EMP data. Let me just cross verify that. Yeah, it is EMP data. Now I will type load. Now I'll simply run a df.so to print the content. We can remove the additional space now. Now I'll save the job and I'll hit run. So I'll pause the video till the job gets succeeded, then we'll go to the output logs and we'll see if we have any output or not. So the job has now succeeded. So you see, this is the only run that I made. So it took 1 minute and 35 seconds, and we can also see the arguments that we passed over here. So these are some by default arguments, and if you remember, we pasted the jars, so that actually comes under extra jars argument. So now if we go to the output logs, let's see if we have the data or not. So I will choose the main job run ID. So if you see, we have the data. So usually when we do df.so, it usually prints out the first 20 rows. So and we got what we expected. So if we want, we can see it here in data preview. So yeah, so we have this data, and we can also see the similar data in here. If you see the first name, the last name, it's matching over here as well. So now we have the job completed successfully, and we can see the output in the output log. So the final part, that is writing the data in S3 location. So I'll simply write one line of code that will write the data into the S3 bucket. We'll write it to the same bucket where our driver is present. I'll just create a new directory inside, a new folder inside it, and we will write it there. So the code would be df.write .options. I'll add a header equals true. So I want to write it in the CSV format, so I'll specify .csv. Now we need to specify the S3 location. Please remember, we need to use S3A because S3A has faster reading and writing speeds. I'll paste the bucket name, and I'll create a folder, let's say CSV. Yeah, we are good to go. I'll save it and I'll run the job. So I'll skip the video till the job completes. Okay, so now our job has been completed successfully. Let's go to the S3 location. So this is the S3 location. Let's see if any directory has been created or not. So if you see a directory CSV has been created, if I click on that, the CSV file has been created. I can also view it if I click on query using S3 select. If I run the SQL query, if you see, you can see the data from here as well. So that is it in this video. So we see four things. First, we saw the Snowflake database and various arguments that we need. The next step, we downloaded the connector, and then we created a new Glue job, and we did set up the job details and various arguments. And finally, we wrote the script, and we write the data into the S3 bucket. So you can add various transformations on top of that using your Spark code, and you can also write into different locations like into RDS or your Redshift, so wherever you want. So thanks for watching it.